Welcome to The Bone, the podcast that goes deeper. Here we cut through the noise and get straight to the core of the issues that matter. From real stories to raw truths, we dive deep into the conversations that shape our world and challenge our thinking. We're not afraid to dig in and get to the marrow of it all. Whether it's life, culture, or business in sports medicine, we're here to break it down raw and real. No filters, no fluff, just to the bone. With your host, Shelby Daly, we're getting to the bone. This is a clinically pressed, approved CEU podcast. Find the quiz to gain credit at clinicallypressed.org/courses. Clinically Pressed Company, making the complicated simple through results that give back. Find out more at clinicallypressed.org. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Bone, the podcast about all things athletic training. I'm Tom Randall. Well, I used to be when I was famous. Now I'm just some guy she picked up in the Help Wanted ad at Home Depot. Our hostess for this podcast is Shelby Daly, certified athletic trainer, currently working with Penn Med in Philadelphia. And this is To the Bone. Good morning, Shelby.
Good morning.
How are you today?
It's a little cold here. It's been trying to snow. We
actually had snow. We have real Alaskan snow out there for the first time in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow we're supposed to have a blizzard, so not sure about that.
Have you told the National Weather Service about this?
Not yet.
Okay. All right.
They have all those balloons and
drones off the East Coast? Yeah. I'm sure those are all just weather drones.
Who knows?
Could be.
Who knows?
Could be.
We just have to stop shooting them down over here.
You know, if those things were over Tennessee, they'd all be down by now. I'm just saying.
Well, probably.
Or out here on the Cooked Inlet Flats. You fly a drone out there, it'd be taken for a mallard, it'd be down, it'd be over, it'd be done with.
Yeah, people would start taking bets.
Yeah. Mossberg's stock would be up. It'd be a good thing.
Well, Happy New Year to you.
Well, thank you very much. How's it going so far?
We're on what, day 5?
5 days. Oh my God, 5 days and the world hasn't ended. My goodness.
I know.
2025 is looking pretty good based on all the expectations that were thrown out there by various media sources. We made it 5 days and the planet has not imploded. It's a good deal.
Yeah.
So
we'll just see if they survive the snowstorm tomorrow. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Snowmageddon. It's coming.
Yeah.
All right. So news today. That's what we're doing, is kicking off the new year with news, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it would be a great way to bring in what's going on across the country in athletic training. Okay. I think we're a little disconnected on what projects everybody's working on. So I wanted to try to get the state associations to start letting us know what's going on. How can we get involved? How can we make athletic training better?
All right. So now, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that kind of the role that a national association that represents athletic trainers should be doing?
Well, my assumption was the national organization was supposed to be a resource for the states to be able to carry out different projects and legislation, kind of that extra oomph to get things across the finish line.
Okay.
I mean, looking at it from a federal government kind of mirroring aspect, I think there's essential functions that a national organization or federal government should be providing its constituents to be able to live their life and perform their job duties. But,
right.
Yeah.
So if the National Association is a representative organization that represents the views of athletic trainers nationally, shouldn't it be kind of a conduit for also putting out information that to keep the members of the association informed as to what's going on? Is that, I mean, if we're talking about what's the purpose of a national... Okay, all right.
I mean, but looking at regular media these days, I don't know what's true and what's actually happening in the world.
All right.
A little biased.
So in a perfect world, you would pay an annual fee to your professional association. That professional association would attempt
to make your life better through actively pursuing legislation that benefits athletic trainers, and then would also provide information to the folks who are sending the money in to let them know how successful they've been, roadblocks that are in their place, and what could be done to help overcome those roadblocks and increase the validity and value of the membership.
Yeah. I mean, provide opportunities and resources to be able to perform your job optimally, I would assume. Yeah.
So maybe some networking too, to get people who are looking for positions to work with high quality providers.
I mean, our national association does have a job page for postings.
Okay. All right.
So, cool. But with your experience, have you been a part of any organizations nationally, state, or locally?
Who's listening to this?
It's just a bunch of athletic trainers across the country.
Let me look under the keyboard. Oh, hi, Mr. Hoover. We haven't heard much from you recently.
This isn't actually being recorded, Dad.
By who?
Exactly.
That's why I put Siri in the other room. I got Siri over there, that other AI.
We just get a payout later, you know.
Said the name. Cha-ching! Woo!
Well, I guess what's your impression on what these associations or organizations are supposed to do for its members?
Well, there's a lot of that going on. I was actually in a discussion on Friday with a group of locals. So we just went through an entire election season. And of course, some people win, some people lose, and everybody steps back and goes, oh, what could we have done better? Or what could we, whatever. And so there's that thinking about how to move forward. And so what it really comes down to, from my observation on this, I have served in elected positions with national organizations. And really, especially when it comes down to organizations where you have a small paid staff. Okay, so a lot of times what you'll have is some people that you're willing to pay so that they can handle the information, they can have a full-time job of advocating on your behalf. Now, outside of that core group of paid people, then all the work, and sometimes some of the toughest work, has to be done by volunteers. So that's where organizations, especially national organizations, have a challenge. It's one, how to attract a volunteer base that's willing to do labor in an effort to make things better. That's a big ask because everybody is so busy. I've been in Zoom calls all week talking to folks who are spending an hour driving to work in the morning and driving home at night. And then, we spent 6.5, 7 hours in Zoom meetings all day. It sucks up a huge amount of your time just being employed. So then to have time and energy to put into a national organization is a big ask. So you have some people who have high belief levels and are willing to do that. Typically, that's about 2% of the population, if you're lucky. 2 to 4% of the population is willing to invest in their own ideology, in time and treasure. And to get a core base of volunteers who are actually willing to do things, you got to keep it fulfilling for them. So whether it is they enjoy it just because of the association, they enjoy it because they have something that they're attempting to accomplish, they have a feeling of fulfillment that they're doing something greater than themselves, you have to figure out how to get that core group of volunteers to stay engaged long enough to accomplish something, and then also to proselytize a little bit and actually pull other people in. Quite often, folks are so concerned with what people will think of them that they will not share what they believe in strongly. And whether that is athletic training, a religion, a political association, a lot of times people just don't want the storm that comes with having an opinion, so they'll keep it to themselves. And then, of course, nothing happens. So I think that's the biggest challenge with national organizations, is finding a way to move the organization forward without constantly spending resources, bringing new people in to do the work.
Yeah.
But just a thought I had on Friday night.
Well, I've poked around with it a little bit on LinkedIn of volunteerism. There is a sense of fulfillment when you go out and put in your time for something you're not being reciprocated with money or reward. I don't know. Going out to the food bank and providing services. I think what I had found in my little research for one post was volunteerism has declined quite dramatically over the last few years. And, trying to pinpoint the one thing that it may be attributed to wasn't a really good reason from what I saw. I mean, it was usually time constraints or monetary or
maybe everybody's at home watching podcasts instead of going out and doing something. Oh, we can only hope.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I just think it's ironic for athletic trainers in that right now we have this discussion about salary and how we're not getting paid enough and the hourly constraints and the work-life balance. And yet we want all these volunteers to go put in more time to do more athletic training things. And I don't think that we're necessarily being updated on what's all going on at the district, state, nationally, even in our city. So I think that's why I wanted to do this today.
If there was a young professional who had a voice on the interweb, she could do like news pieces and get that out to her listenership so that they would, we should do that.
Oh, it might help. I'm not getting paid for this, so I guess it's my volunteer.
There you go. You're investing in your future. So as a parallel to the Athletic Training Association, here's a conversation I had this summer. So I was out surveying neighborhoods this summer, and I was in a fairly affluent neighborhood, very nice houses, and ended up sitting on the front porch with this gentleman who is a retired teaching professional, and he had taught in the classroom. He had gone up into administration. This is a well experienced professional in the teaching industry, and we were having a discussion about the status of teaching in schools in the United States, and he was, we talked about the positives about what, if you were going to be in the teaching industry, what you can do to make lives better. And there's a huge raft of things that come from teachers teaching. What I observed to him, I said, here's the challenge that you're having is you say, or the NEA says they're having problems with retention and recruiting of students. And I said, the problem is nobody at the NEA has ever taken a marketing course because for the past 50 years, the NEA has said nothing about the greatness of teaching and what it does for a society. All we've heard is it's long hours, the parents are terrible, the pay sucks, nobody's happy, nobody wants to be a teacher. And so you got to pay us more to overcome our depression and unwillingness to teach. And it's like, really? Did somebody in the marketing department and NEA in the sales department think it was going to be a good idea to put that message out for half a century? No wonder nobody wants to be a teacher. And so that's what you have to be careful of, is if you focus on the negative, that will be the perception of what's happening, and you will speak failure into existence. So what we have to do is figure out how to do these things in a positive thing that, hey, yeah, we are moving forward. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We can make things better. But that was just a conversation on some guy's porch. Very nice gentleman, lovely wife.
That's exactly the same thing that all athletic trainers have been doing the last probably 10 years also is the pay is poor, timing, all the same points exactly. And that's what I'm trying to bring to light right now is our marketing strategy really sucks. And we need to stop marketing to the same demographics. We have this athletic training month and we all put our poster up, our manifesto in the athletic training room to the athletes who already know who we are and what we do. Where we're not necessarily reaching out to the rest of campus if we're in a school or a high school and doing more pushing on what we do or even into the community. And I think the our representatives, our associations need to do a better job of hanging out with the public and educating them on what athletic trainers do. You can go up to anybody and ask, say, we have a common understanding of what a physician or a physical therapist or a chiropractor is, yet I still have to explain what an athletic trainer is to my grandparents sometimes.
What exactly do you do, Shelby? Let me ice that for you. Come here.
Yeah.
So I think back to when I was a young person, and my friend Alberto. Alberto was just an amazing guy. He knew he wasn't going to be on the team, but he wanted to help out. And so, at my school, we had what they called athletic managers, and so each team would have an athletic manager, and that was the guy that was supposed to help the team get the job of being a team done. Okay, and I think he was the manager for the football team at my high school. And so it's like you have people who want to be in athletics that are realists. I mean, I knew I was never going to be a great athlete. I was tiny. I mean, I was underweight and skinny and not a lot of muscle. And,
that's why you joined the band.
Better.
Hey, there's athletic trainers for the band now.
I joined the orchestra. Even better than the band. Anyway, no, I was on the swim team, cross-country team, but realistically, it wasn't a focus. That was not something that my parents focused on, athletics, and it wasn't something that I was particularly gifted at. So if you can pull in somebody who maybe doesn't want to be an athlete, but might want to be a doctor one day, or might want to go into a medical profession, figuring out how to get people interested in athletic training as a part of the high school experience could be very good for recruitment and retention of athletic trainers down the road.
Yeah. Well, I think we do have a pretty good education level athletic training classes at the high school already established. I think with the transition to the masters right now, we have a 4-year gap where we kind of lose people at this point. Where I think the best segue is to bring back an athletic training 4-year degree that is in emergent care. So you come out of your 4 years, you're technically certified as a first responder athletic trainer, and then you go into your master's, and then you specialize in the rehabilitation, concussion, nutrition, performance aspects, return to play. And you get more reps, and that can replace the GA ships ultimately. So the athletic trainer can go out and get reps on their own, because I think the programs have become helicopter moms and aren't really letting these students go out and experience a real life of an athletic trainer while they're in the program.
Well, and there's some the amazing thing is, I mean, you mentioned several professionals there in that discussion that an athletic training introduction at a young age can help people go into any number of professions. I was thinking back to my human anatomy and physiology professor at University of Alaska Anchorage on the Kenai River campus. He had started out, I don't know what he did initially, but at one point he worked as a paramedic, and he did a number of different things, and then eventually ended up teaching human anatomy and physiology at the university level. And so he had a much different kind of take on things than maybe a traditional university professor would have. And it gave it kind of a little bit more, I don't know, a little more roundness, a little more fullness to the instruction.
More realistic.
Yeah.
Relatable.
He was, yeah, and it was a cool class. Yeah, I remember. Well, anyway, that's not important. How about some news?
Yeah,
I mean,
we
teased it. We teased some news.
Yeah, we might as well get into it.
All right. Well, here's what's going on at the national level. The Access to AEDs Act. That's the Access to AEDs Act from March of 2023 was when it was introduced. The Access to AEDs Act authorizes the Secretary of Health and Human Services, HHS, to award grants to local education agencies, including public charter schools operating as such, to establish comprehensive AED CPR programs in public elementary and secondary schools. This includes providing CPR AED training programs in public schools and replacing outdated AED and CPR equipment and screening student athletes for risk of sudden cardiac arrest consistent with guidelines set by the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology. The HHS Secretary is mandated to establish a clearinghouse database to collect and make available information regarding student access to I knew I was going to have fun with this one. For access to defibrillation in public schools, including the cost of providing AEDs and CPR training. So that's something that happened at the federal level, and you know what happens. They'll put a bill in. So this one came from March 2023, but then the effective date can be quite a bit down the road because they have to go through the regulation process and the implementation process. So that should be out there right now.
Yeah.
Next up, we also have protecting student athletes from concussions. Once again, this act happened in 2023. The Protecting Student Athletes from Concussions Act, the bill establishes minimum requirements related to concussion safety and management. These requirements include the development and implementation of a concussion safety and management plan by each local educational agency, educating students, parents, and school personnel on concussions, posting information on concussions in schools, immediately removing students from athletic activities if a concussion is suspected, and requiring a written release from a healthcare professional before a student can resume participation in athletics after a concussion. So those are some pretty big moves.
Yeah.
We're addressing cardiac, we're addressing concussions, and then there's actually even a Health Investment Act that is out there. This is a new twist on trying to keep people healthy.
Yeah, the FIT with PH?
PHIT. It amends the Internal Revenue Code. So there you go. Not only are we going to have AEDs and concussions, but we're going to fix the IRS. Woo,
what?
Stand by. The code will allow a yearly medical care tax deduction of up to $1,000 or $2,000 on a joint return or a head of household for qualified sports and fitness expenses. So this includes qualified sports and fitness expenses like a fitness facility, participation or instruction in a physical exercise or physical activity, or equipment used in a program of physical exercise or physical activity. So there you go. You might be able to get a tax credit for your barbells.
Yeah. That's what we all need. Squat racks are really expensive.
They are. But, you can get one of those. Oh, no, you said squat rack and all my brain went right to an Anatoly video where he's like lifting the entire squat rack and moving it so he can mop the floor. It's like, oh yeah, well, make sure you get the heavyweight one that's bolted down or otherwise Anatoly will move it on you.
Yeah.
All right. We also, coming at the federal level, there is a Promoting Physical Activity for Americans Act. So yes, turn off the podcast and go out and go running. Well,
no, you can listen to the podcast while you go run.
That's a beautiful thing. I'm so
That's
glad
why people listen to podcasts.
Yeah, I know.
Multitasking.
Put in the buds, tune into To the Bone, and go out and get some physical activity. The Promoting Physical Activities for Americans Act requires that the HHS Secretary to publish a report that provides physical activity recommendations for the American public based on the most current evidence-based scientific and medical knowledge available at the time of the report. The report is required to include additional recommendations for population subgroups such as children and persons with disabilities. So there you go. Promoting Physical Activity for America Act. Apparently, common sense wasn't good enough. We had to make a law.
Can we say anything more on that?
Oh, I'm so going to jail after this. I'm just absolutely. Are you making fun of us in Washington?
Uh,
Yes, but in my defense, I'm not alone.
yeah.
All right. How about Jordan McNair? You remember Jordan McNair?
I did not meet him.
Okay. Well, Jordan McNair was at the University of Maryland, football. Okay. So the Jordan McNair Student Athlete Heat Fatality Prevention Act was dedicated to him. As a freshman offensive lineman, he tragically passed away from heat exhaustion. The bill requires college athletic programs to create, implement, and rehearse specific heat illness emergency action plans in consultation with emergency first responders prior to in-person practice. Plans must include a plan for the operation and use of automatic external defibrillators, AEDs, as well as cold water immersion equipment. The legislation requires college athletic programs to post their heat illness emergency action plans on their program's website and share their plan with the local emergency responders. So there you go. We got concussion, we got heat. What else we get? Oh, cardiac. Yeah, cardiac, concussion, heat. Moving forward,
almost
and activity.
all the major ones. Yeah.
And activity. Move, but don't forget your earbuds and to the bone. All right.
Then nationally, we do have the BOC orthopedic specialty exam that's coming up.
Okay.
So,
and BOC, you use a lot of acronyms. Help out
Board of Certification for Athletic Trainers.
Oh, there we go.
We have our BCS-O certification credential. This is a new credential that they've created to help provide opportunities for job advancement, especially in the hospital setting, is my impression of it. So it can be earned by certified athletic trainers with specialized education and focused experience in orthopedics beyond the requirements of the ATC credential. This AT specialty certification is a major step towards improving work conditions, compensation, and respect in the healthcare community. So you can log on to bocatc.org/AT-specialties. And looking at the dates, the registration, is the deadline is January 16th. So that's coming up pretty fast. But there are more dates throughout the year. There is a test in March, May, July, and October. So go on the website and look into that more. It's going to be interesting on what specialty certification and credentials we're going to come up with next to hopefully progress the profession of athletic training.
Yeah, see, I am worried that little lizard on the insurance company advertisement that is massaging that guy's finger that he pulled a muscle on using his phone, I don't think he's certified. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know. He could be a massage therapist.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I try to read the fine print at the bottom of the insurance commercials because, I have no life. But I didn't see if the lizards were being certified. Credentialed. Yeah, I don't know if he's a credentialed lizard or not, but at least he has opposable thumbs.
Well, at least he was watching out for his employees.
That's it. You pull, I don't know, what would you go? I mean, when you pull a hamstring, you pull a hammy. If you're pulling an index, he pulled an indie? Did he pull an indie?
Phalangeal.
He pulled an indie.
Phalange? There's not a lot of muscle in the actual finger. It's really all tendon.
It's all connective tissue. It's not like so yeah, I guess you have to see. You should have been working the arm where the muscles are instead of down in the phalanges.
Well, that you can tell his credentialing from that.
I think he's more interested in selling you insurance than actually fixing your. Just a thought, just an observation.
Yeah,
All right, so now I know in preparation for the show today, you actually went out to the various states and asked them for updates on what was going on with athletic training, correct?
Yes. And
How'd that go?
Well, not as... It's the end of the year. I'm sure everybody was busy and not checking their emails, but I did get a couple to sprinkle into the show today.
Okay.
I also did look into every single state's association website. We need to start updating our websites a little bit better, guys. They're a little out of date.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, that's the challenge with being information rich. Is there's so much out there, and then somebody has to actually go out and go, "Hey, yeah,
I know.
1998. Well, we should probably update that one."
Well, that's even looking at some of the practice acts. Some haven't really been updated for, a few decades.
Well, okay, decades. That's pretty tough. I was gonna say, if it's working, you could, why change it? But I think a couple of things have changed in the last couple of decades.
Yes. There were a lot of states that have been recently updating their practice acts, which was great.
All right. So Oklahoma, where the wind comes, they came back. They actually sent us something.
Yeah, they did.
What they probably did? They probably just printed it, threw it up in the air, and the wind brought it to us.
Yeah.
Because that's how the internet works.
That's why I didn't get it from email.
Oh. Just laying on your porch one morning.
Mail. I got mail.
All right. So Oklahoma has signed, enacted, and adopted OKHB 1544. And this bill amends Oklahoma's law to add a definition for athletic trainer as a person employed full-time by a school board who is a certified athletic trainer and licensed to practice in the state. The bill also accords athletic trainers the same legal protection, and that's important, and benefits as certified teachers. The bill changes to the existing law on positions in school system will take effect on November 1, 2024. It was passed and signed, just last year. So so took them about 6 months to get that thing up and running once it passed. In Oklahoma, there are the area, a lot of secondary schools do not have access to athletic trainers. The purpose of the bill is to allow another avenue for schools to hire an athletic trainer without forcing them into the classroom or getting a teaching certificate. I know you were not wild about teaching, if I remember correctly.
I mean, as I've gotten more comfortable, not that hard, I guess, maybe.
All right. So this could possibly be a model for other states to follow if they have similar needs. It was budget neutral, which means it didn't cost taxpayers any extra money, which is awesome. And it's all about protecting kids, which is also very important. Since having this pass in 2024, they have gotten their name thrown out in the legislature in a positive light. And they're hoping to use this as a catapult for more legislative changes. So, tip of the hat to Oklahoma. Well done.
Yep.
Now, California passed a law.
Well,
California is always passing some law.
Well, they finally made the step.
Oh, there we go.
They finally didn't get, when the cat bats something off the table.
All right. So... All right, California, they had Assembly Bill 796. Now, it passed. It has an effective date of January 1, 2025. So it has been in place for 5 days.
Woo!
Just looking for the change. Trying to feel the change. California passed a law. Yeah, because that never happens. All right, so the title, Protection Regulation, not Licensure. All right, so California's Athletic Training Practice Act, Assembly Bill 796, regulates athletic trainers by establishing the Athletic Trainer Registration Committee within the Medical Board of California, prohibiting the use of titles like athletic trainer unless the person is certified by the Board of Certification for Athletic Trainers, prohibiting the practice of medicine, physical therapy, chiropractic, or occupational therapy that athletic trainers...
By athletic trainers.
By athletic trainers. Thank you. Wow, if only I could read English. All right. And prohibiting athletic trainers from treating conditions unrelated to sports, games, recreation, or exercise. It also requires athletic trainers to practice under the direction of a licensed physician or surgeon. The bill was led by Assembly Member Akia Weber and California Athletic Trainers Association, CATA. The CATA worked with legislatures and regulators to find the best language for the bill. The Athletic Trainer Registration Committee will be responsible for registering athletic trainers, setting and collecting registration fees, renewing registration, and denying or revoking registrations. Now, here's what the bill does not do. The bill does not establish a scope of practice. It does not define who an AT can treat. It does not define where an AT can work, and it does not require ATs to register or pay a fee. It does not require a company entity to hire an AT to provide care. So a little bit of a mixed bag there.
Yeah. I mean, it's just protecting the name athletic trainer, really.
Well, that's good. You got to bring value to it. I mean,
yeah,
you can't have just anybody at the gym. I'm an athletic trainer.
Yeah. And that's a great step forward. I did take this off their website, so I'm not sure if the wordage was totally correct when reading through that, but they can come on and talk to us more about it.
Absolutely, come on out. Let's get you out. Well, so yes, so the webmaster is not an English major. I could see that happening. I really could. How about Delaware? Delaware did some stuff.
How'd you get down to Delaware?
Because nobody else said anything. So I just scrolled down.
Okay, fine.
All right. Well, hold on. Let me back up. Because we could talk about Alabama.
Well, I guess
This just in. No news and no legislation or projects in Alabama.
But they were licensed in 1993.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
This is the challenge with doing news. It's gotta
flow.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Okay, let's go to Delaware. Sorry for everybody in between that in the alphabet.
Send us a response. Give us something to talk about. I'm looking at you, Connecticut. You're right there in front of Delaware, and all we got on his address. All right. Delaware. Code Title 24, 2605. It was House Bill 244. The Delaware House Education Committee recently passed a bill that would provide funding for athletic trainers at every Delaware public high school. Well done. This act directs unit funding for every public high school in the state to have a full-time athletic trainer. Are you going to cheer? Are you going to cheer? Okay. All right. There we go. Delaware schools previously only required to supply an athletic trainer during football games because there are no other sports in Delaware, just football. Whew. Oh,
I mean, it's a quick drive through Delaware.
The gymnastics team was crestfallen when they found out they weren't a sport, according to Delaware. But this fixes that. Although many schools provide full-time athletic trainers either as a member of the staff or outsourced through third-party contractors, the bill would be implemented on a staggered basis. It's expected the state would pitch in $74,829 for each athletic trainer, with the local share coming out at $24,552. That's $100,000.
Yeah.
When fully implemented, it's expected to cost the state about $4,593,257, with a $1,507,109 local match, for a total of $6,100,366 worth of positions. Score!
$1 billion.
$1 million. I don't think Dr. Evil has any more accreditation than the lizard. Just
True.
To be fair.
True.
All right. Although I'm holding onto my desk, so if my chair catapults back into the burn room, I'll still be standing here. All right. According to a 2019-2020 study by the Corey Springer Institute, 44% of Delaware high school students have full-time ATs and 37% use part-time services, while 19% have no AT service at all. So there you go. We're going to close the gap in Delaware. Tip of the hat for them getting after that and putting some money where their mouth is.
Yeah. That's about 50% coverage rate.
Well, let's see. 44% of Delaware high schools have full-time ATs. 37% have part-time. So yeah, that's and then 19%. So it's picking up 20%. If we get some reasons for people to be taking care of the kids.
Yep.
All right. What next?
Let's see.
So for those of
District
you
of
watching
Columbia?
at home, every time I look to the right, it's because that's where the big monitor is. So although what we're doing, the program we're working on is over here on this monitor, this one, that one, this one. Shelby is over there.
Stage left, right?
Yeah. So it's not that I have a Twitch. It's just that she's
The
over
cats
there.
aren't bugging you today?
Your grandparents, my parents, taught me that I should look at the person when I'm speaking to them. And so I keep having this glitch where I'm trying to look at the person I'm talking to who's on the monitor over there, even though the camera is
So you got
there.
like the Matrix set up over there.
Oh, man, don't even go there. Too many connections. So,
District of Columbia.
DC.
Yeah. Did you know that athletic trainers shall not sell, dispense, or administer anabolic steroids to any person?
Really?
That was recently stated in December 2024.
Really? You guys are not supposed to be shooting them up, huh?
Yeah. Really takes the edge off the job.
Oh, well, it's nice to know that when I'm thrown in jail, you'll be in the next cell. So thank you. Thank you for throwing in there with me. Yeah, anabolic steroids. That is, man. Oh, it's a Mickey Rourke movie.
Let's see. Well, in 2019, they amended their 1985 Practice Act.
Ooh, 85 to 2019. Yeah, they'll probably do for an update.
So they cleaned up some of the wordage and definitions.
Okay.
So,
cool.
you know. And then Florida.
Florida. Ooh, licensure.
Well, that was 2012.
Well, but ATAF Virtual Clinical Symposium, April 2025. Oh, is this just a FYI announcement?
Yeah, just, I was trying to pull content, and these were the random things.
Oh, man, this is all caps. All right, stand by. Hold on to your keyboards, kiddies. There is, in capitals, no grace period in Florida for unlicensed activity. You can't move here and work if you do not have a license. Man.
It's a big question that gets thrown around.
Messing around.
I know.
Made it clear. Was that clear enough for everybody? Would you like me to shout it into the microphone again?
No.
All right. Well, so this comes from December 2022, the Florida Board of Athletic Training, the Florida Board of Athletic Training, FABAT, held a meeting to discuss proposed changes to the protocols and scope of practices for licensed athletic trainers. So apparently Florida is licensing, and you cannot just move there and drag your license with you. Some of the topics discussed included renumbering items. I know you've been playing with number 15 on your chest for all these years, but we're going to renumber your item now. You will be 14.5.
Well,
they didn't give us an explanation of renumbering
I mean,
items.
That's the thing, is the bill has all those numbers for the different lines and stuff. So they renumbered some of those things.
It says that.
Allowed for clarification of the scope of practice.
Scope of practice. Oh, there we go. All right.
Yeah.
So the numbering system of the bill, and I'm assuming the related regulations then, is what they're renumbering.
Yes.
Not the players.
Just the cut and edit kind of a situation.
All right. Sounds like they also discussed adding a new item to the proposed language to specify where athletic trainers can practice. So why is that a thing? Tell me a little bit about that. Why is where an athletic trainer practices a subject of discussion?
Traditionally, when practice acts were put into place, it was very athlete sports specific. Now with the gradual growth in athletic trainers moving into the industrial setting, working in the hospitals, going out and working on their own technically or private practice, we have to change how the legislation is worded to make sure that that's included in what we can do.
All right. I was worried that they were going to come and try and bust me because the woman in the leotard who was doing yoga on the beach in Florida had a muscle cramp. I offered to rub it out. I didn't want to be.
You don't have a license or a certified.
Well, I'm just trying to be helpful. I mean, the poor woman is in pain.
Did she give you consent?
Let's not go there, all right? Don't tell your mother.
She doesn't listen to the show anyway, so.
Oh, okay. Would you like to know some facts about Florida?
Sure.
All right. Florida has the longest coastline of beaches in the U.S. Uh-oh. We may have to call... have to call that one into question.
Well, does Alaska really have beaches? Maybe I missed a word of tropical beaches.
Yeah. Alaska has more coastline than the rest of the country put together, just as an FYI.
Well, but are they
Florida,
technically beaches?
What do you want? What's your definition of a beach? Is Malibu a beach?
Yes.
Malibu's a beach, even with those rock faces and water smashing things up against the rock faces. Is that a beach? Because we have those too.
I guess you can drink anywhere.
Oh, so it sounds like you're defining a beach as a piece of land directly adjacent to water that can support a tiki hut and margaritas. Is that your definition of a beach?
Yeah.
Well, then yes. Florida may have Alaska beat on beaches if it requires a tiki hut and margaritas at waterside, but
I mean, sand or gravel. We have a lot of gravel beaches.
Well, we got a lot of sand too. We have microfine sand that has been ground into fine particles for thousands of years by glaciers.
Oh, I thought that was just ash from the volcanoes.
No, there's ash in there too. You can see that in the strata of the ice. But the fine sand on the Cook Inlet and out here in Kenai Beach is made from finely ground, the finest virgin rocks ground by a thousands-year-old glacier. And I can bet you Florida has no glaciers.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay.
They don't have the quality of finely ground rock that we do.
Okay. So we will call them out on their fact and say they need to define what a beach is.
Let's hear from an athletic trainer in Florida. Have them send in a counter to our proposal that we have more coastline than Florida.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Well, I mean, for athletic trainers, Florida has the highest rate of lightning strikes in the country.
Put down the golf club, for God's sake. Jeez, man. You just see these guys out on the green. Hey, look, lightning. There's easier ways to get a perm. Just saying.
You know.
Okay.
Florida has set the world record for most consecutive days of sunshine, 768 days in the late 1960s, while St. Petersburg specifically gets an average of 361 days of sunshine per year.
See, we have a Petersburg in Alaska.
They get, 90 days of darkness? Complete darkness.
No, Petersburg is down there in the south. It's down in the Panhandle, so it's in the tropical portions of, or not tropical. I can't say tropical. What can I say? I can say the rainforest portion of Alaska. They are down in the rainforest, but I think it would take them 10 years to get 361 days of sunshine. I'm just saying.
They probably have that much rain. Water particles coming from the sky.
They have a lot of stuff. Petersburg's a cool little town, but it does not have 768 days of straight sunshine.
Okay, fine.
All right.
So what, we're now to Georgia?
Georgia? Yeah. Gentle on my mind. That's Georgia. Okay, so 1999. So once again, your statement that maybe we need to update some of these things. This is from 1999, House Bill 93, Athletic Training Licensure. So, practicing as an athletic trainer without a license is a misdemeanor. What if a guy does it? Is it a misdemeanor? You can't hold yourself out. Dad humor. Watch out. Sorry, there should have been a sign. You can't hold yourself out to the public as an athletic trainer if you're unlicensed. Athletic trainers have been eligible for reimbursement by law since 1977. This legislation provides consistency across the state with regard to reimbursement of services rendered by an athletic trainer, which fall within the athletic trainer's scope of practice as defined by OCGA, Section 43-5-1. HB 93 was passed so that athletic trainers and their patients would no longer experience reimbursement denials and inconsistencies by insurers who otherwise reimburse physicians for the same services. Well, that's a cool little piece of legislation.
Yeah. Well, it's been enacted for so long. I'm just not sure why it seems to be just such a new thing to other states. You would think that they would be going to Georgia and asking questions on how they got it passed, but obviously the 70s were a little bit different time too. I don't know.
The 70s. Ooh, that's a lot of polyester. Oh, man. Ooh, man, you talk about a lightning strike. Wear a polyester leisure suit and run down to meet somebody. There's going to be a shock. It's just...
Isn't that mustard yellow?
No, green.
Green.
Forest green. Forest green.
Not baby blue?
Silk shirt. No, I did not have baby blue. That was your grandfather. There's a mental picture for you. Just... and then... Whew. All right, Hawaii.
Yeah, aloha.
Yeah.
And aloha for goodbye.
It's all good.
Don't know if you're coming or going.
Less words. They're just happy all the time. Hawaii, they had apparently founded in 1985. Was
their association?
Their association. 1997, all public secondary schools received full-time AT positions, so good job there. And in 2013, the state professional regulations became law.
So they're still not licensed in Hawaii.
They're
they
not
don't have
licensed.
Licensure.
Oh,
they just have regulation.
So they have regulations, but not licensure.
Yeah.
That's unusual for a liberal state.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, it's them and California are the only two left.
They license everything in California. How do they not have licensure figured out?
I don't know.
Okay. So here's a fact for you. Fun fact from Hawaii. The first athletic training room in Hawaii was set up in Panahu School, Panahu, in 1962. That's old.
Yeah.
Woo.
It's probably on a beach. At a surf shack.
Hey, I don't know about that, but it was started by a massage therapist, Cy Blake, who had been working with the Olympics. Gary Smith was the first athletic trainer hired in the state. He worked at Panahu School from 1964 through 1968. Holy cow, that was a long time ago. All right. So that's the world. That's the news from around the athletic training world. This is To the Bone with Shelby Daly, a certified athletic trainer, leading the conversation. And until next time, we got anything coming up that the listeners need to be aware of?
Not at this moment in time.
You're not making dinner tonight?
Nah.
Everybody stop
Pizza?
by? Bowl of chili? No, pizza.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
There we
If
go.
anybody wants to send updates, get a hold of me.
So there's a question. In Philadelphia, how do you hold a piece of pizza?
Well, I'm not from here, so I don't know.
Have you not been watching people eat pizza?
Well, they all eat Philly cheesesteaks.
Oh, okay. All right. I do remember the nice folks, the Middle Eastern folks who were running the pizza place next to your first apartment in Philadelphia. That was interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That whole neighborhood was very interesting.
That was a wild ride in that neighborhood, man. Between the cobblestone streets and the police everywhere. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Philadelphia. What fun.
Yep.
All right. Till next time, this is To the Bone. And if you want to check us out, where can they go, Shelby?
The best place is www.tothebonepodcast.com.
Outstanding. All right, well, we'll see you next time from Alaska and Philadelphia. Be safe out there.
That's it for today's episode of To the Bone. I hope we've sparked some new thoughts, challenged your perspectives, or simply reminded you to dig a little deeper. Remember, life isn't just about what's on the surface. Sometimes you've got to cut deeper and get to the bone of what really matters. To the Bone podcast is a product of Daily LLC. It's hosted and produced by Shelby Daly, ATC, and Randy Daly. No clinical decision-making should be based solely on one source. While care is taken to ensure accuracy, factual errors can be present. For more on the show, visit www.tothebonepodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Get involved in the conversation. You can find us at www.tothebonepodcast.com. Drop us topic suggestions or be a potential guest. We're all about connecting with you, our listeners. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep cutting deep.